Hello, everyone, for OneWrestling.com. Welcome to the Apter Chat. It is so good to have all of you down here in Apter's Alley once again, and very special guest today, very dear friend of mine. But I didn't know until recently that he was a big fan of magic, that he loves magic. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do some magic tonight for this special guest. One of my prized possessions here is this great action figure of Diamond Dallas Page with his arms spread out. So what I'm going to try and do right now is stuff this into the camera and see if I can make this real. Oh my God! How did I do that? That's incredible. My goodness, bang, yeah, the action figure is alive. Diamond Dallas Page, it is so fabulous to see you. You and I go way back to your AWA days, and we've been good buddies and everything. So welcome to the Apter Chat.
Good to be here, bro. A lot of good things happening.
Yeah, tons of good things. By the way, one thing I want to mention, and I think I mentioned this in my book, is that when everything was falling apart on me and WOW Magazine collapsed, you know, people in the wrestling business sometimes they just, oh, well, that guy can't do anything for me, so they don't call you. I got one call. It was you. So thank you again. I love you. You know that. Anyway, I brought you on here for several reasons. The first thing is all the chat going on, of course, about the incredible performance that Sting put in at the pay-per-view at Night of Champions against Seth Rollins, and sustaining an injury on there. But you are, you know, you're friends with Sting. You're a physical guru with DDP Yoga. Tell us about your feelings of Sting's comeback and what's happened to him and what you might foresee in his future.
I think, everybody wanted to have that run in the WWE, and no way that Stinger was going to go there until it was PG, because of all the born-again Christians, and there are quite a lot of them in our world. His is the real deal, and he really sort of wants to practice what he preaches, so to speak. And I think that it's, I think that it was great that he finally got to come, especially with the network being what it is right now and everything. And I think he wanted to have that, that one more match. And a guy like Seth Rollins, he is, to me, he's stepping into the Shawn Michaels realm, and that's saying a lot.
Perfect, yeah.
Because I think that, Shawn was as good as it got. Ric Flair, of course. When you put the package together, and Seth is, he's showing moments of brilliance in the ring. So I was happy that Sting got to have that match with him. But you have to remember, when Kiss puts on their paint, they can go back 30 years. They're playing guitars. They're singing. They're playing the drums. When Sting puts that face paint on, he's out there with some of the young studs of our business, and you can't fake gravity.
Yeah.
It's just, I wouldn't, people always say to me, who would you love to wrestle with just one more time? Mm-hmm. I said, I'd never do it. But it's only because they wouldn't ask. Because if they would make the angle between me and Orton,
wow,
I'd have to seriously think about it. Now, I'm really glad they don't ask, because
they watched this the Apter Chat, so you may have just put a great idea in their mind. RKO versus the Diamond Cutter. Wow,
that's a no-brainer idea. Yeah. I thought for sure when I showed up at the Rumble, when I heard that I was going to get all these Diamond Cutters,
yeah,
I thought for sure the last person I would have turned into was Randy.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking, and I'm really glad I didn't, because he is the legend killer. And every once in a while when I'll see him, I go, hey, Randy, haven't killed me yet.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that. But I would love to have worked with Randy 10 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago even. But like I say, Stinger's out there, and I heard he got seriously injured. I don't know what the real deal is on that, but it would not surprise me. You know, I mean, every time we go in that ring, we leave a little piece of our body in there. You
Oh,
know?
sure. Well, it was amazing to me because for part of that match, he defied age. He really did. I mean, so we, of course, we wish him the best, and
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. But I just wanted to know what your take on this would be. So, one of the amazing things, of course, in my lifetime that I've seen you do is DDP yoga, and the lives that you have changed for people who are on the verge of not having lives anymore is so astounding what you've done. But especially, in my opinion, with two very dear friends of you, of me, and the wrestling business, and we're talking about Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall. And I understand that there's a very special event coming up that's going to be in a lot of different cities that you and I have talked about, and there are a lot of fans who don't know about this. So why don't you take us through this?
Well, you know, I always, anytime anybody says about Scott and Jake, you know, I've always got to preface it with, I was just their guide. Jake was my guide in professional wrestling when it came to work in the ring. Dusty was my guide in my business. And I'm lucky to have those two guys mentor me. But neither one of them could do the work for me. I had to put the work in and defy the odds. With Jake and Scott, nobody believed either one of those guys were going to get back on track ever. And understandably so. A lot of guys helped over and over again. The thing that happened with my involvement with my crew, my accountability crew, I didn't do it alone. All I was their guide.
Mm-hmm.
They had to put the work in. It took a village at times, and you really get to see that. I was on Wade Keller's show, had seen the movie, and he was like, "Who are all the other people?" And they're my crew. That's the DDP Yoga Performance crew now at our Performance Center. I see you got the Performance Center T-shirt back there, and
yes, the WWE Performance Center.
Yeah, when I heard that name, Performance Center, I was like, "That's what I'm going to call my place."
Yeah.
Completely different, but a lot alike in many ways. But back to Jake and Scott, the journey that we went on started with me just wanting to help Jake get his life back on track so that he could walk away from the business with his head held high. I don't think there's anybody who knows more than you that if you took the top 10 wrestlers of all time, the guys who were really, really crazy over, Hogan and Austin and Rock and
Flair,
Dusty and Flair and Jake, if you took the top 10 guys, any one of those top 10 guys are pretty much interchangeable for top 5 guys of like all time.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake would be one of those guys.
Absolutely.
So I really, because of what he did for me, I wanted to at least give it a shot. I wanted to give it a try. And with God's help, and I mean with God's help, and a great crew, and Jake being in the position where he was ready. I believe he has 11 rehabs in, and I believe Scott has 12.
Wow.
And what people may see when they watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Well, this is what I want to get to. A lot of people don't know what this is, the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Well, I went 3 years ago, last August. I went to Gainesville, Texas with my business partner, Steve Yu, who's a director and an amazing, he knows how to piece together 500 hours of film. If you would have told me that he got it down to 9 hours, I'd be worried he left stuff out.
Yeah.
He got it down to 93 minutes. And it starts day one in Gainesville, Texas, with us on our way to see Jake. And when we see him, what happens and where he's at, from what everybody's heard from the TMZ stuff, the Beyond the Mat, I mean, all of that, really showed Jake in any of his performances, until before 3 years ago, he was not in a good place.
No.
And I honestly believe that you become the 5 people you hang out most with.
Very
And,
interesting. Wow.
think about like people who were in your life growing up, when you were successful, when you were down, like who do you surround yourself with?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Steve, you and I both honestly believe that if you're around us all the time, like we're not positive all the time, but a lot of it. And like Scott Hall used to say to me all the time, Dally, how do you stay so effing positive?
Yeah.
I work at it.
Yep.
I work at it all the time. I don't let negative people around me.
Hmm.
Now, if it's starting out they're negative and they want to try to help themselves or not just change their life, but own their life, then I'm going to help. If people knew how many people I helped that, they spent $69 on my program.
Hmm.
It's not like they're paying me bringing $500 a day to work
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
I mean, people who will help themselves and put the work in, and they're part of my program, I'm going to bend over backwards to help them. And I can give you testimony after testimony after testimony. And Jake and Scott were just 2 of the most visible people. The disabled veteran.
We know the history of some of the people that you've mentored through this program. The film is going to be shown. First of all, it was shown at some film festivals already, correct?
Yes, and the Slam Dance, the first one, they knew what we had here. Like in their minds, and with directors that have seen the film and helped us make some more edits, they believe not only that this is Oscar worthy, but I have had top directors tell me that this could win an Oscar.
Wow.
Because it's so real, it's so powerful, and like we all just bared our souls, man. Like we're, part of it is we grew up in front of cameras. You know what I mean?
You did.
So it's
You
not
did.
really, didn't even pay attention to it. And I wanted to make sure they were everywhere when Jake moved into my house. And I got ridiculed by some people for showing the beginnings of where these guys were, and it wasn't in a good place.
Hmm.
What they didn't understand, because their lack of knowledge, ignorant,
That there was a breakthrough. That this was a breakthrough, a hopeful breakthrough project to get them to the other side.
well, but people had to see it, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people didn't see the beginning and then start to see the change, if 3 years went by and nobody saw Scott or Jake, but I told you that they've been clean and sober and living an amazing life, helping people, anybody have believed it.
Yeah, yeah, no, you have to. This is something you literally have to see to believe.
And the people, like we just had 2 showings in Atlanta. It's been here all week.
Now, when are we talking? In terms of time frame, because this is being taped on September 24th, and this will be aired somewhere in the next few days. Tell us where people, because people right now are probably going, well, where can I see this? This sounds fabulous. So where can people see this? And I understand that you, Scott, and Jake will all be on this tour with the movie.
We'll be at some places all together, someplace single, someplace double. Example, first of all, let me explain. Anyone who wants to know about the resurrection of Jake the Snake, most of the information is at jakethesnakemovie.com. And I'll tell you why I did that. Because the theaters, we're not spending millions of dollars for advertising. We're on the internet, period.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is taking what they thought of the movie. there's a testimony. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send it to you
Okay.
that Steve Austin said about this movie. Now, Steve Austin is one of my best friends for over 20 years.
I know that.
But in that time, I know whether it's for me or anyone, if Steve Austin doesn't believe in something, it don't matter if you're buddies or not.
He doesn't endorse anything unless he truly believes it.
Never. Steve Austin said he shed a tear. Now, that to me, him just sharing that with people.
That speaks
blew
volumes.
my mind. But
Yeah,
he's
that's-
so blown away. He's so blown away by the movie, and he saw the original cut. Remember, I told you that some directors in
Yeah.
Hollywood actually, John Gray. I'm pretty sure his name is John Gray. Now it escapes me. His wife Allie Gray, and Brian, the guy who did the Apes, Planet of the Apes, the last one,
Yes.
which is unbelievable film. Excuse me. They all gave us notes after our first, what we had.
Yeah.
It's just about how you tell the story a little bit better, And Steve saw that cut. That's the cut everybody's seeing now.
So
And
where can people
he's
go now?
blown away.
So where can people go to actually see the entire schedule of where the movie will be shown? Because I know you're here in Philadelphia coming up fairly soon.
Right on the first.
Yes, 1st of October. And I will be there.
JakeTheSnakeMovie.com has everything. And what you want to do is you want to sign up because maybe you missed it in your town. Maybe we're not coming to your town because we're too far away. Maybe you just want to know about the VOD, which is the video on demand.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you want to know about the DVDs. If you sign up, you'll know everything.
Okay.
You'll be the first to know everything. And the thing we're most excited about is that we qualified for the Oscars. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be nominated for an Oscar on this, but I'll tell you going in, it was my goal.
Yeah, it would be
my
really
goal
sweet.
going in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that, oh, God, what is he thinking? How can he have the balls to say blah? Hey, because I set a goal. Just like I set a goal that I was going to be the world champion at some point. And don't think people didn't fall over laughing about that.
But this goal was genuine, real life, the nurturing of these people who really wanted to make their lives better, and again used you as the guide. And this shows everything, the hell and the happiness that they've gone through to achieve this.
Raven was there last night, and he gave another great review. I'm going to send you Ravens and Austin, so you can put it up there, so you can have their view up there. And Raven, he said it was like the perfect match because, you get the opening, oh my God, this guy's amazing, and then boom, he gets beaten down, and then he comes back, and then boom, he gets beaten down, and then he has this amazing comeback at the end. That when Steve and I went to, Gainesville, Texas, my goal for Jake was for him to end up where he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He released to you, and it's part of the movie because you're in the movie, because this is a part where, you probably didn't know that,
No.
but where he releases to you that he's going to be in the
Yes.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, in the video. Yeah, in that video.
and
That's
Jim
great.
Ross.
Thank you for including that.
Well, it was a big thing, and we interviewed Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, Edge, Adam Copeland, Jim Duggan, Ted DiBiase, Gene Okerlund, Jim Ross, because we wanted all different viewpoints of what was happening. And Jim Ross, he's one of the geniuses of our business. He
Absolutely.
really is.
Absolutely.
He said this was pivotal because it gave Jake something to shoot for. It gave him a goal. And even though he didn't get in, he got in something better.
Yeah. I
So,
I called Jake when he was backstage, maybe 10 minutes before the Hall of Fame show started, and told him how proud I was of where he came from your guidance, and it was one of the most emotional moments that I've ever seen. DDP, we're just about out of time. Please give that URL one more time where people can find out about this great film.
it comes down to the fans supporting this right now. We're in New York City, just so you know. We're in New York City at AMC Theaters in Midtown.
Yeah.
That's how we've qualified for the Oscars, because we got a full week at AMC Theaters. They don't do that for documentaries. They did it for us. They also gave us one in LA, in Culver City. We're there for a week. Jake and I will be there in New York City at Yonkers. Myself, Jake, Scott, and Steve Yu will be there, the director. And then in New York City, because Jake's got to go to Baltimore, he'll be down in Baltimore, and me and Scott will be up in Midtown Manhattan.
And who am I going to see in Philly? Are all three of you in Philly?
All of us will be in Philly.
Fantastic! I can't wait to see the three. And don't forget in Yonkers, my pal Sal, Big Sal, the Big Cheese, Sal Curran.
Sal set that up.
Sal will be there.
Set up the theater in Yonkers, and he set up the theater in Chicago.
Yeah, no, Sal.
Outside of Chicago.
There's a whole chapter in my book about my pal Sal, and he's one of the people that people go like, I know that guy, and he does everything. So.
Everybody knows Sal, and Sal has been instrumental in and out of my career, and a good buddy.
Mine too.
But again, if you want to know about the VOD, we're going to have hours and hours of stuff on the DVDs. That stuff, we couldn't just fit it in there. It's going to be amazing. Everything is at JakeTheSnakeMovie.com. You'll get an update so you know when we're actually going to be there. Okay. Or when the VOD goes on, gets released online. And we wanted to show what this little independent Slamdance Film Festival, it's Slamdance Presents. We didn't win that film festival, but you'd think we did, because we're the only one that they went out with, and they've never done it before. So right. Peter Baxter and all them at Slamdance, very instrumental. And this is rebranding Jake Roberts. It's rebranding Scott Hall. It's making people understand it. You can take another chance on these guys, because these are two of the smartest guys I've ever met when they're sober. They're amazing, and their mind is clear. And this is an emotional, feel-good. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh again. And then you're going to be so inspired at the end, you're going to feel like you can run through a brick wall. All
right. DDP, I want to thank you. And usually I ask people to point to the camera and say, we'll see you at the matches, but would you mind banging us out of here with a see you at the matches?
I absolutely will. But wait a minute, don't you have a book?
I do, but I was going to ask you, but I didn't, there's a lot of guys in the business I've known for forever, and they keep saying, how could you ask me a question like that? Can I ask you the question?
Answer me the question.
Is wrestling fixed?
I didn't know it was broken. Oh. Hey, see you at the matches. Bang!
DDP, we'll see you at the matches. Thank you.